Welcome to Back to the Feature, where I watch the full movie so you don't have to. Child's Play came out in 1988 and was a surprise hit that created a new horror villain for people to love. Let's dive in. Detective Mike Norris chases Charles Lee Ray, known as the Lakeside Strangler, through the streets of Chicago after a botched robbery. They throw bullets at each other and Ray is wounded before he can make it to his getaway car, causing his partner Eddie to take off without him. Detective Norris follows him into a toy store and Charles isn't doing too well after Norris shoots him again. He wanders through the store until he collapses into a giant display of good guy dolls. He realizes he's bleeding out, so he pulls one of the dolls from its box. And this is where things get weird. He starts chanting some voodoo ritual as he holds on to the doll. Suddenly a storm brews over the store as Norris slowly makes his way towards the sound of the chanting. At the climax of the ritual, a giant lightning bolt shoots down through a skylight, causing a massive explosion and fire that tosses Detective Norris across the store. When he gets up, the place is completely destroyed. He stumbles through the mess and finds Charles Lee Ray laying on the floor, dead as a doornail next to a good guy doll. The next morning, we meet little Andy Barclay, who's obsessed with the good guy character. He dresses just like him, eats the good guy breakfast cereal, and watches all the good guy cartoon episodes over and over. When the new good guy doll is advertised on TV, little Andy is starstruck. It's his birthday, and for a special day, he decided to surprise his mom Karen by destroying the kitchen and delivering breakfast to her in bed. He's just excited because there's a present for him that is shaped just like the good guy box. This is the look of utter disappointment, folks. She tricked him with that box. It had clothes in it. She tries to cheer him up by having him open the other present, which turns out to be a good guy tool set. Andy tells her he wants a good guy to go with it. Being a single mom, she didn't know about the good guy doll in time to save up the money for it. As luck would have it, her friend Maggie from work found out that a street peddler nearby has one of the dolls. They meet him in the alley and she ends up paying $30 for the beat up box. Little does she know, that good guy doll she just bought actually has Charles Lee Ray inside it. Karen surprises Andy with her street peddler purchase. The box is beat up and looks slightly off, but Andy doesn't even notice. He's thrilled. When he asks the good guy doll what his name is, it responds,
"Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end."
Karen needs to work late, so Maggie babysits Andy. At bedtime, Andy goes into the bathroom to brush his teeth while Maggie is cleaning up the kitchen. She's startled when the TV comes on and she finds Chucky sitting in front of the TV even though she had laid him on Andy's bed. Chucky was watching a news story about Charles Lee Ray's partner escaping the police until Maggie turns off the TV and drags his ass back to the bedroom. I guess Chucky doesn't take too kindly to being disrespected like that. He sneaks out of the room and watches her from the shadows. Maggie hears a sound in the kitchen and goes to investigate, where she finds flour all over the kitchen floor. While Maggie starts to clean it up, Chucky goes and gets the hammer from Andy's new playset. He chucks the toy hammer at her and hits her right in the face. For such a small hammer, it makes quite the sound when it hits her. She goes crashing backward out the window and then gravity does the rest. She falls about 6 stories and face plants right into the back of a pickup truck. So yeah, she's dead. Karen returns home to find police swarming her building. When she gets up to her apartment, there are even more cops taking pictures and working the crime scene. She's relieved to find Andy is okay, but then Detective Norris asks her to step outside so he can tell her Maggie fell out the window and died. She gets pissed though when Norris acts like Andy might have something to do with it because they found little footprints in the spilled flour. Andy goes back to bed but notices there's white powder on the bottom of Chucky's shoes. He runs out just in time to tell Detective Norris and his mom that it was Chucky who made the footprints. No one believes him, but Morris did take the toy hammer as evidence though. That night, Karen overhears Andy talking to Chucky like they're having an actual conversation. When she asks what Chucky has been saying, Andy tells her that his real name is Charles Lee Ray and says Chucky thinks Maggie was a bitch and got what she deserved. Thus begins a battle of wills between Karen and Andy because Andy says Chucky is alive and Karen says he's just plastic and that Andy's making this all up. Karen drops Andy and Chucky off at school on her way to work. Chucky convinces Andy to skip school and take a little ride on the subway. Andy thinks they're on an adventure, but really Chucky is just using him to hunt down his old partner. They get off the train in a really rough-looking neighborhood, but no one even pays attention to him. They eventually make it to Eddie's house, which looks very familiar. If you recognize this place, drop a note in the comments below naming the movie you saw it in. While Andy takes a potty break, Chucky sneaks into Eddie's nasty-ass rat-infested house. Eddie is asleep upstairs as Chucky turns on the gas oven. Eddie hears something and comes downstairs just in time to see Andy walking by outside. Eddie hears a noise in the kitchen, so he opens the door and shoots into the room. The spark from the gun sets off the gas and the whole house explodes, killing Eddie in the process. Karen is called down to the police station because Andy was picked up at the scene. Detective Norris takes her to go see him, and she tells Andy that no one believes him about Chucky, and if he doesn't start telling the truth, they're going to take him away from her. This gets Andy's attention, and he gets mad at Chucky for not talking in front of his mom. Chucky's just an asshole because he finally relents, but just does the good guy doll voice, leaving the police with no choice but to send Andy for mental observation. This leaves Karen alone at home with Chucky. She finds the good guy batteries are still inside the box. She then checks the battery compartment in his back, and it's empty. That means Chucky's been active this whole time with no power source. So now she's finally starting to think that Andy was telling the truth after all. She tries to get Chucky to talk to her, but he stays silent, at least until she threatens to throw his ass in the fireplace. Then Chucky explodes to life and attacks her. Chucky goes apeshit and bites Karen before he escapes the apartment. She chases after him, but that little dude is quick when he wants to be. Now that she knows the truth, she immediately goes to Detective Norris demanding help. Big shocker that he refuses to accept the idea that Chucky is alive. She tells him about her fight with Chucky, but he thinks she's crazy. Karen tells him the doll attacked her and shows him the bite mark. He still refuses, so she leaves to find the peddler who sold her the doll. Karen finds and confronts the peddler, who tries to assault her, but Norris intervenes just in time. The peddler insists he got the doll from a burned out toy store. Norris tells her that Charles Lee Ray died in that same store, and he's the one who killed him. During his drive home, Chucky rises up from the back seat and tries to strangle him. As he struggles to keep the car on the road, Detective Norris is quickly becoming a believer. Norris is able to stab Chucky in his little face with the car's cigarette lighter. Who remembers those suckers? Chucky has a mean streak though and starts stabbing a big-ass knife through the back and bottom of the seat, but somehow Norris avoids getting cut. Chucky causes the car to crash and then toys with him just to be a dick. Norris is able to shoot him once before he escapes. The next morning, Karen visits Chucky's apartment and we learn he was into some really weird shit and liked to paint. While Karen is taking in the display, Detective Norris walks in behind her and scares the crap out of her for no reason. He tells her some of the things he learned from reading the police file. Things like his nickname is Chucky. Duh. And then he hangs out a lot with a man named John Bishop. Norris wants to get to Bishop before Chucky does. Well, he's a bit too late. Chucky is already at Bishop's place, making a surprise visit to show off his new body as proof that the voodoo Bishop taught him actually worked. He just has one problem. He wants to know why it hurt when he got shot and his body is bleeding. Bishop tells him he's becoming more human and will be trapped forever if he doesn't transfer his soul. When Bishop refuses to help him, Chucky pulls out a voodoo doll and starts using it on Bishop. Broken leg? Coming right up. Bishop's leg snaps and down he goes. Bishop still refuses to help, so Chucky yanks on the doll and breaks his arm. When he's threatened with death, he finally caves and explains Chucky's soul can only go into the first person Chucky revealed himself to, Andy. It's not ideal, but Chucky's actually a bit excited about it. Chucky stabs the voodoo doll and leaves as blood starts pouring from Bishop's chest. Karen and Norris arrive, and with his dying breath, Bishop begs them to save Andy before Chucky can get to him. He also tells them the only way to stop Chucky is through the heart. At the hospital, Chucky sneaks into Andy's room, but Andy's able to escape. Unfortunately, Chucky catches up to him in an operating room. Andy has no choice but to man up and grab a scalpel to defend himself. Before he can use it, the doctor comes in and unarms him. As the doctor prepares to sedate Andy, he's attacked from behind. Always check your six, folks. Chucky cuts the back of his knee, dropping him to the ground, where he then gets a little too much electroshock therapy from Dr. Chucky. So yeah, he's dead. Detective Norris and Karen arrive to find the police already there. They find out the doctor is dead and Andy escaped. The police think Andy killed the doc, but a witness told Karen that Chucky was there too. Andy returns to his apartment, barricades the door, and looks for a weapon while Chucky comes down the chimney Santa style. He finds Andy and chases him through the apartment. Andy sucks at hide and seek though, as Chucky sneaks up behind him and brains him with a small bat. Karen and Norris are on their way up to the apartment as Chucky starts the transfer ritual. They see the storm and lightning brewing outside, so they know they have to hurry. Chucky starts chanting his spell that's a bit more complicated than the 3 little words Ash had to say. They burst in and Karen is the first one to reach Chucky. She tosses him aside to help Andy, only for him to jump back up and attack Norris with his knife. Thankfully, he can't reach above knee level, so he can't do too much damage. Still hurts like a mother though. Chucky flees into the apartment and Norris makes the mistake of getting on all fours to look under the bed. Now he's on Chucky's level and that gives him the opportunity to take Norris out with the bat. Before he can do real damage, Karen walks in and shoots him in the leg. The gun jams and he chases her back into the living room, where she just happens to fall down in front of the fireplace. You could see where this is going a mile away. Chucky jumps on her only to have her toss him into the fireplace, and then Andy comes over to help light him up. Chucky goes up in flames, screaming his little head off. He jumps out of the fireplace like a human tiki torch until he finally falls over looking like a burnt marshmallow. His screaming has stopped and he's just a pile of melted plastic and smoke. Now that the worst is over, Detective Norris comes to and hollers from the other room. They go to check on him and he's a bit banged up, so Andy is sent to go get the first aid kit. When he does, he sees that Chucky is missing. Andy runs back to warn them about Chucky but gets tripped up. He looks up to see Chucky without skin and smoking like the Marlboro Man. Andy makes it to the bedroom where his mom tries to lock Chucky out, but he stabs at her through the door. He chases them in circles until Karen finally turns on him with the gun. Her first shot barely bothers him. The second shot, though, takes his head clean off. The body keeps coming, so she shoots off his arm. It's just a flesh wound, though, and he keeps coming. Her aim is incredible as she then takes off a foot. That at least knocked him over. He tries to crawl, but Karen gets right up on him and shoots him twice in the back. She keeps firing the empty gun until Norris's partner comes in. Norris tells his partner that Andy was telling the truth and the doll is alive. He picks up the head and thinks they're pulling his leg. He's messing with the head and then Chucky's severed torso busts out of the wall vent and attacks him. Chucky's head is yelling at the body to kill him and it does its best to strangle him with one little doll hand. This poor dude can't even get himself free, so Karen has to pull Chucky off of him. The body pulls itself up by a curtain as Norris takes aim, shooting him in the heart. What's left of Chucky splatters against the wall, ending his reign of terror for good. They all leave the apartment exhausted and traumatized, especially little Andy. The end. This movie proved that a horror movie about a kid's doll could actually be successful. It was so successful that it spawned 6 sequels and a TV series. Who knew? And that wraps up Child's Play and our introduction to Chucky. If you've enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, drop your favorite Child's Play scene in the comments, and subscribe for more cinematic blasts from the past. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Back to the Feature.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.